The fall that didn't need a trip. I didn't fall because I slipped. I fell because of something I took every morning for 2 decades. Something I believed all my life was helping me live longer. And I'm not the only one. I collapsed in the bathroom on a Tuesday morning. No stumble, no dizziness, no stroke. My legs simply couldn't hold me anymore. I remember sitting on the edge of the bathtub, resting one hand on my knee. And as I stood, my legs no longer felt like mine. They buckled, went numb, and gave out. My back hit the cold tile wall behind me. That feeling, cold, hard, and silent, was the same feeling I'd carried inside me for the last 2 years. The feeling of someone still alive, but no longer moving forward. My name is Frank Dawson. I'm 74, widower, retired since I was 66. I've always thought I was doing all right for my age. Light exercise, less red meat, more greens, and every morning vitamins, a multivitamin, vitamin D3, calcium, sometimes a B6 for deeper sleep, occasionally zinc omega-3s, vitamin E. I wasn't overdoing it, just doing what everyone says is right, taking care of my health proactively. Until the day I couldn't get up off the floor. I lay there for nearly 10 minutes. No one knew, no one called, no one saw. And what hurt most wasn't the fall. It was the question that showed up in my head while I was lying there. What's happening to me? What did I do wrong? I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't eat fried foods, no chronic illness, no sleep deprivation, no sedentary lifestyle. So why did my legs give out on me? The doctors couldn't find anything conclusive. They checked muscle function, nerves, blood pressure, circulation. Everything came back normal. Until a young doctor, probably in his 30s, asked me quietly, "Sir, are you taking any supplements daily?" I told him, "Just vitamins, like everyone else." He looked at me for a long moment. Then he said something I'll never forget. "It's possible that the very pills you think are helping are quietly stripping your body of its real strength." That sentence, soft, almost passing, was the key that opened everything. Because from that day on, I began retracing my steps. Every supplement, every morning habit, every healthy food I'd sworn by. And I discovered something: I wasn't aging. I was being worn down from the inside by the very things I thought were keeping me well. And my legs, they weren't failing me. They were trying to tell me something by refusing to stand. The multivitamin illusion. When more means less. Every morning I had a ritual. Warm tea, a few slices of apple, and a neat little row of pills lined up in a 7-day organizer. I called it my armor for old age. Each pill had its color, its purpose, its promise. I believed if you can't control time, at least try to control your health. I started taking multivitamins when I turned 60. After my wife Ellen passed away, I felt I needed to stay healthy. For her, for our children, and maybe for the sense of purpose that came with still waking up each morning. What I didn't know was that those little pills, layered one on top of the other, day after day, year after year, were slowly changing the biology of my body in ways I couldn't see and didn't feel until it was too late. I thought I was adding nutrients, but what I was really adding was burden. Multivitamins often include a mix of everything: A, D, E, K, E, complex, iron, zinc, magnesium. On paper, it sounds perfect. But at 74, my liver no longer processed things like it used to. My kidneys no longer filtered with the same efficiency. And my body, instead of absorbing, began storing. I used to think if one pill is good, 2 must be better. But biology doesn't work like that. Too much even of a good thing becomes toxic. There were mornings when my head felt heavy, My steps slow, my hands slightly shaky. But I never connected it to the vitamins. I just assumed maybe I didn't sleep deeply enough last night. It wasn't until my doctor ran a blood test and saw dangerously high levels of vitamins D and A that I realized the truth. I'd been taking double the recommended dose for over 3 years. Add to that the B6 in most multivitamins, which when accumulated can become neurotoxic. It starts affecting your nerves, your sense of touch. I began to feel numbness, cold, then a creeping loss of sensation in the soles of my feet. I used to call those things small signs, but all those small signs were quietly building up to one very big thing: the fall. I didn't fall and then get weak. My legs had been weakening for a long time. I just hadn't been listening, and the warning wasn't pain, it was silence. It was my body whispering every morning, please stop adding more. I can't handle it anymore. Vitamin A, the silent muscle eroder. I used to think vitamin A was the safest of them all. Good for your eyes, your skin, your immune system. My mother used to say when I was little, eat your carrots so your eyes stay sharp. And I carried that belief with me my whole life, never once questioning it. But when I retired, I started taking a daily vitamin A supplement. Not because a doctor told me to, but because my vision had gotten a little blurry, and because that bottle was sitting on the clearance shelf at my local pharmacy. Just 1 pill a day to support healthy eyesight. That line was enough to drop it into my basket. I took it faithfully every morning for nearly 2 years, and slowly my legs began to stiffen. Not the kind of cramp that comes and goes. This was a dull, constant stiffness without a clear cause. I started noticing that walking felt just a little harder. Sitting down, standing up, my knees didn't move the way they used to. At first, I chalked it up to age, but something inside me started whispering, this isn't normal. Then I came across a study from the Mayo Clinic. It said that too much vitamin A can cause muscle inflammation, joint pain, and even led to calcium loss in the hips and femur. That stopped me cold. I started reviewing everything, every supplement. Each multivitamin already included vitamin A. And then there was the separate vitamin A pill I had been taking. Together they added up to double the recommended daily dose. That's when I finally saw it. My body had been trying to warn me, but I had ignored the signals because I kept thinking, it's just vitamins, how bad could it be? That was the mistake. The stiffness in my legs, it didn't come from the bones, it came from the muscles. And muscles need minerals. They need balance, not an overdose of a single vitamin pushed too hard, too long for too many years. Later, I learned that excess vitamin A also affects liver function. It reduces magnesium absorption, a mineral essential for muscle contraction and nerve transmission. Without enough magnesium, your muscles contract but don't relax. Exactly like how my legs had been tightening up every night. One morning I woke up and my legs were numb, stone-like. I rubbed them with my hands for 10 minutes. Nothing. No sensation. That was the moment I understood if I didn't stop, I wouldn't lose my legs because I fell. I'd lose them because I had quietly pushed them away from me without ever realizing it. Vitamin D overload, when S harden and muscles break. If vitamin A was the silent culprit behind my muscle inflammation and stiffness, then vitamin D was the one that pushed everything further by breaking the delicate rhythm between bones and muscles. I started taking vitamin D3 after reading that older adults don't get enough sunlight and that this leads to osteoporosis. The logic was sound, but I didn't ask a doctor, didn't run any tests, didn't check how much vitamin D I already had in my body. I simply saw other people taking it, so I did too. 2,000 IU a day. Later I increased it to 5,000, then 8,000. I believed I was reinforcing my skeletal frame, but in reality I was hardening it. Vitamin D isn't bad, but taken the wrong way at the wrong dose without the necessary supporting nutrients, especially vitamin K2, it doesn't help calcium reach your bones. It sends calcium elsewhere. And when calcium goes off course, it can settle into your blood vessels, your tendons, your soft tissue. So instead of stronger bones, you get stiff joints, aching muscles, and ligaments that feel like dry wood. I didn't know this until my knees stopped bending with ease. Until I had to press my hands against the table just to get out of a chair. Until every walk was accompanied by a strange grinding sound in my joints. I thought it was degeneration, but when they ran imaging scans, the doctor shook his head. You're not dealing with joint damage, you're experiencing soft tissue calcification around the joints. I asked why his reply chilled me. It might be the amount of vitamin D you're taking. I pushed back. But it's good for you. He nodded. Yes, if your body actually needs it. But when you're already sufficient and you keep piling more on it, it becomes a burden. And without enough vitamin K2 to guide it, the calcium you're absorbing doesn't go to your bones. It goes to your heart, your kidneys, your joints. That hit me hard. I felt like I'd been silently pulling the trigger on myself every morning with a smile on my face, believing I was staying healthy. I stopped taking D3, shifted my focus to real food, whole eggs with the yolk, sardines, gentle morning sunlight, blood work every 6 months. And more than anything, I relearned something I had forgotten for years. More is not always better. No supplement is truly safe unless you know exactly what your body needs. Vitamin B6, the numbness I didn't understand. I don't remember who first told me to take B6. Maybe it was someone from my retirement group, maybe a short video on YouTube, or one of those Facebook posts that quietly goes viral saying things like vitamin B6 helps you sleep better, calms the nerves, sharpens your memory. At the time, I desperately wanted to sleep. For a month, I had only been getting 2 or 3 hours a night. My mind felt foggy. My hands and feet occasionally went numb around midnight. Everything B6 promised sounded logical. And because it was a B vitamin, water-soluble, I figured my body will just flush out the extra. No worries, harmless. So I started taking it. Every morning after breakfast, one 100 milliliters tablet. At first it helped. I slept deeper, woke up less. My nerves seemed to settle. But a few months in, I started noticing small signs, the kind that are easy to ignore. If I sat for too long, my legs went numb. My hands trembled slightly when I held a coffee cup. Sometimes I felt like tiny needles were poking the soles of my feet. I blamed age, blamed lack of movement, blamed sitting too much, standing too little. Until one morning, I stepped out of bed and felt nothing. No cold, no pressure, no contact, just emptiness. From my heels up to my calves, I nearly fell, and that's when I knew something was wrong. A neurologist ran an EMG test. The result, peripheral nerve damage, and the first thing he asked was, "Are you taking vitamin B6? I nodded. "What dose?" I think. 100 milligrams. He sighed. "For someone your age, the safe range is no more than 25 to 50 milligrams a day. Prolonged high doses can cause irreversible nerve damage." I went silent. I had been harming myself every single morning with a pill I thought was helping me. I thought I was taking care of my health. But in truth, I had been hollowing out my legs from the inside. I stopped taking B6 that day, switched to food-based sources: bananas, oats, eggs, almonds, natural, moderate, and kind. But the tingling remains. It's faint now, but it never fully left. It's like a quiet echo inside me, a gentle whisper that says the body can forgive, but it never forgets. I had to relearn something that should have been simple. Not everything labeled vitamin is safe. Not everything sold in a pharmacy is something you need. And more importantly, no one understands your body like you do. I no longer take pills based on what people say. I take them based on what I listen to in my own body. And my legs, though not fully healed, no longer resent me every morning. They just want one thing. That I remember sometimes healing begins with simply stopping. iron overload, when you feed fire to a fire. I started taking iron supplements for a very simple reason. I looked a little pale, not tired, not dizzy, not fainting, just a few people casually mentioned, "You look a bit washed out, Frank." So I went to the pharmacy and bought a bottle of 65 milliliters iron pills, the kind commonly marketed for anemia. I didn't ask my doctor, didn't run any blood work, because I thought iron is blood and old people always need more blood. Right, I was wrong in a way that felt completely logical at the time. The first 3 weeks I didn't feel much. A little constipation maybe. My skin didn't look any rosier, but I kept at it faithfully. And then things began to shift, not suddenly, quietly. I started getting tired more quickly. Every step felt like I was dragging an extra few pounds. My heart raced when I climbed the stairs. My sleep became shallow. I was irritable, mentally foggy. At first I blamed it on age, but there was one thing that genuinely scared me. My legs ached all day, even when I hadn't done anything at all. Every time I stood up from a chair, I felt like I was carrying heavy iron cuffs around my calves. And the irony, I was taking iron to feel stronger. But strength was exactly what I was losing day by day. I went back to the doctor. This time I mentioned the iron pills. He looked at me, not with blame, but with a seriousness that made me sit up straighter. "Frank," he said, "did you know your body has no natural way to get rid of excess iron? When you take in more than you need, it just stays, and like rust, it slowly starts to corrode from the inside." No one had ever told me that. "Too much iron creates free radicals," he continued. "It damages muscle tissue, liver cells, even your nervous system. It slows recovery, makes you feel fatigued, worn out, especially in older adults where the liver and kidneys are already working overtime. The damage shows up fast." I asked him, "Can this be reversed if it hasn't gone too far?" He said, "The body can bounce back, but you need to stop now. Watch your levels closely and switch to iron from natural foods only when your body needs it." I went home, opened my medicine cabinet, held the bottle of iron pills in my hand, just a small bottle, but inside it a long-running mistake, a small habit, a big assumption. I dropped it in the trash. And that evening I stood in front of the mirror for a long time. For the first time in weeks, I looked straight into my own eyes and asked, why did I think this body didn't deserve to be consulted? Since that day, I eat differently. Lean red meats, moderate and well-spaced. Organ meats on occasion. Lentils, leafy greens. A splash of citrus juice to help absorb iron only when needed. I stopped feeding fire to fire. I stopped giving my heart heat before checking if there was enough water left in me to cool it down. And slowly my legs, once heavy like stone, began to feel lighter. Bit by bit. Not fast, but real. As if they were forgiving me slowly but sincerely. Zinc. The mineral that took my taste and my balance. I started taking zinc during the pandemic. Everyone was talking about immunity, about defense, about fighting off viruses. I remember the bold lettering on the bottle: zinc. Supports immunity, protects smell and taste. I didn't hesitate. I bought it, and I took it 50 milligrams a day every day without missing a dose. I truly believed I was doing the right thing. For the first 3 months, I felt great. Fewer colds, appetite steady, but then something started to fade. Not a full loss of taste, but something subtle, unsettling. Coffee no longer had aroma. Meals lacked depth. Beef and chicken began to taste strangely similar. I didn't think it was the zinc. I assumed it was aging, or maybe a lingering, undetected brush with COVID. Then came the imbalance. Every time I stood up, I felt off. Like my body lost its internal compass just for a second. No dizziness, no racing heart, just a moment where my feet didn't know where to place themselves. One day I stood up from the sofa and it felt like the floor backed away. I had to grab the table. Not because I was dizzy, but because I didn't trust my own legs. Eventually, I went to see a specialist, a doctor who focused on micronutrients and metabolic balance. After running tests, he asked, "Are you currently taking zinc supplements?" I nodded. 50 milligrams a day. He looked at me for a long moment, then he said, "Zinc is a great mineral, but high doses over time deplete copper, an essential nutrient for your nervous system and internal balance." I didn't know that. He continued, "Copper deficiency leads to mild anemia, disrupts nerve signaling, impairs your ability to taste, and affects balance." I remember sitting there for a long time, quiet, thinking. I had no idea that one single mineral, something considered harmless, could rob me of such simple, essential things: the pleasure of tasting, the confidence of standing, the basic trust in my own footing. I stopped taking zinc, shifted to food-based sources: oysters, pumpkin seeds, almonds, beef, egg yolks, all naturally rich in zinc and balanced with copper. And slowly, I began to recover. From the smallest things, the taste of hot tea, the smell of toasted bread in the morning, the certainty in every step I took across the room. I learned a hard, humbling lesson. Not every mineral should be maxed out. Some nutrients are meant to be just enough, like a tightrope wire between benefit and harm. And I, a man who once believed that more is safer, lost my taste, lost my balance, because I forgot the most important rule: balance doesn't come from high doses. It comes from understanding. Calcium without K2, a dangerous detour. I took calcium every day for 4 years. No skipped days, no second opinions, no follow-up blood tests, no second bone scan, because someone once warned me, as you age, you have to take calcium if you don't want to end up like her, broken hip, bedridden for life. Her was my wife, Clara. She fractured her femur slipping in the kitchen at 67, and she never walked quite the same again. That image lodged itself deeper into me than any doctor's diagnosis. So I took the pills. Every morning, chalky white calcium tablets, 700 milligrams, then 1,000, then a chewable in the evening just to be sure. I thought I was reinforcing my bones, like rebuilding the foundation of an old house, until my knees started to ache. My knees, my ankles, my elbows, every joint started clicking and cracking whenever I moved. I woke up stiff. Some mornings I had to lean against the wall just to get out of bed because my joints refused to open. So I went back to the clinic. The doctor asked me, "Are you taking vitamin K2 along with your calcium?" I frowned. "K2? What's that?" He lowered his voice. "Calcium needs K2 to know where to go. Without it, the calcium doesn't go into your bones. It gets lost, ends up in the wrong places: your blood vessels, cartilage, soft tissues. It causes calcification. It causes pain." I felt a chill run through me. I had been pouring cement into my own body every single morning without even knowing it. I thought I was fortifying my bones, but instead I was hardening the wrong places and leaving my bones hollow, fragile. That day I changed everything. I stopped taking calcium by itself, switched to whole foods, small fish with the bones, dark, leafy greens, whole eggs. I started reading every label. I learned about K2, how it's found in natto-aged cheese, chicken liver. And I finally understood something I'd never heard clearly before: supplementing isn't always good. Supplementing without understanding can be more dangerous than being deficient. Gradually, the joint pain eased. No more creaks when I stood up. No more bracing myself with each step. And I began to rediscover something I hadn't felt in a long time: the softness of movement. The quiet wisdom of the body when you finally give it what it actually needs. Vitamin C. When too much of a good thing turns sour. I used to love orange juice. 1 glass every morning. Then a fizzy vitamin C tablet in the afternoon. Sometimes a 500 milliliter capsule too whenever my throat felt scratchy or someone in the house started coughing. I called it my way of staying ahead of illness. Simple, convenient, reasonable. It felt like something good I could do for myself. We all have something we believe is good for us. For me, that thing was vitamin C. I never counted doses, never checked the safe limits. I just knew that C was an antioxidant. It boosted immunity. It helped prevent colds, so I kept using it. Until one day, things started to feel off. I felt bloated. My stomach was unsettled. I was urinating more often, always thirsty. My sleep turned restless, and most worrying of all, a dull ache started forming in the left side of my lower back. I assumed it was just aging. But one night at 3 a.m., I woke up not from a dream, not from noise, but from a sharp twisting pain in my lower back that made me gasp. I thought I had kidney stones. The doctor ran an ultrasound, checked my urine. The results signs of oxalate crystals, an early warning of stone formation. Then he asked, "Are you taking high-dose vitamin C?" I nodded. Fizz tablets, regular tablets, and fresh orange juice every day. He just shook his head. The body only needs around 75 to 90 milligrams of vitamin C a day. Going above 2,000 milligrams regularly can increase oxalate in the kidneys, which leads to stone formation. High doses over time can also interfere with copper and zinc absorption, causing trace mineral imbalances. That was the moment I looked back at everything I thought was helping me. One glass of juice that felt healthy. One fizzing tablet that felt like protection. One small capsule that felt like armor. But really, they were tiny cracks forming quietly beneath the surface. I stopped immediately, switched to real fruit kiwi, strawberries, grapefruit, no more fizzy tabs, no more synthetic C, no more self-prescribed prevention. I began sleeping through the night again. No more waking in the dark from some vague, buried pain. And in the morning, I drank water not to fix something broken, but to greet a body slowly healing itself. I learned something that should have been obvious. Even good things, if used the wrong way, can become a burden. The body doesn't need more. It needs enough. It needs what's right. And when I finally stopped, that's when healing quietly began. The vitamin that never gets named: misinformation. There's a vitamin no one ever labels. You won't find it on a blood test. It doesn't come in capsules or bottles, but it's everywhere in medicine cabinets, kitchen tables, and most dangerously, in our beliefs. I call it vitamin TT for talk, tradition, TikTok, the things we take without questioning. I used to take a long list of vitamins every day. Not because a doctor told me to, but because my friend takes it. The internet says it's good. The seller said it's safe. And deep down, a quiet fear that if I didn't take them, I'd get weaker, break down, grow older, faster than everyone else. I turned my body into a lab, testing pills I didn't know I needed, not measuring, not asking, just swallowing with the blind belief that supplementation is always right. I didn't know that one tiny B6 tablet could damage my nerves, that standalone vitamin D could misdirect calcium into my joints and arteries, that a capsule of vitamin E meant to fight aging could thin my blood to dangerous levels, that a multivitamin packaged as complete could throw my body into total confusion. But more frightening than any pill was my silence. I never asked, not my doctor, not even myself, because I thought the more the better. This body is old, it must need more. Now I know it wasn't about giving my body more. It needed me to stop and to listen. I used to believe vitamins were harmless. Now I believe nothing is harmless if you don't know what you're doing. After 60, the body doesn't repair mistakes the way it did at 30. Every wrong move, no matter how small, leaves an echo in your bones, your muscles, your blood vessels. And if you listening to this, are taking 3 or 4 kinds of vitamins every morning without ever asking, do I actually need this? Then I hope you remember this. The most dangerous vitamin is the one you never name. The one wrapped in shiny packaging, hiding a quiet lack of understanding. The day I stopped taking everything I didn't understand was the day my legs finally started to feel lighter. No more trembling, no more aches, no more stumbling every time I stood, just normal. And normal, I realized, was something I had lost for years, what saved my legs and my life. I don't remember the exact day things started to change, because it didn't happen overnight. It wasn't the result of some miracle remedy. It didn't come from a magic supplement. It happened slowly, one small step at a time. Quiet little choices stacked like bricks, rebuilding the bridge back to myself. I began by stopping. I stopped taking things I didn't understand, stopped believing every rumor, stopped swallowing pills just because someone else was taking them too. Then I started listening. Not to podcasts, not to health tips from strangers online, but to my own body. The sharp twinge in my heel when I stepped out of bed, the crackling joints when I bent down to pick something up, the tiny spasms in my legs at night twitching beneath the sheets. I began asking questions to my doctor, to my pharmacist, to myself. Am I actually missing something, or have I just been overdosing on good intentions? And then I started replacing iron pills with a breakfast of chicken liver sautéed in turmeric, vitamin C with a glass of fresh kiwi and strawberry juice, calcium with sardines eaten whole bones and all and steamed leafy greens, vitamin D with 10 minutes of soft morning sunlight, bare arms, face tilted to the sky. I relearned how to eat like someone who takes responsibility for his own life. Not to chase a trend, not to fight off age, but because I finally understood life should be fed with wisdom, not fear. A few weeks later, I climbed a flight of stairs without holding on to the rail. 1 month later, I walked around the park without needing to stop halfway from fatigue. 2 months later, I knelt in the garden replanting Clara's lavender pot and my knees didn't protest. I won't tell you I became young again. I won't pretend I live pain-free, but I will tell you this: I got my legs back, and with them, the meaning of being truly alive. And if you've made it to this part of the story, I hope you hear what I'm about to say. It is never too late to begin again. It's never too late to ask, am I nourishing my body or poisoning it through good intentions? It's never too late to sit down, open the medicine cabinet, look at each bottle and ask, do I really need this, or have I just convinced myself I do? I am not against vitamins. I'm against ignorance dressed up in a shiny bottle and labeled supplement. And from the day I stopped taking what I didn't understand, I finally began to feel like I was standing on my own 2 feet again, both literally and in every other way. You may not realize it, but every vitamin you take each morning is a message, a quiet question. Are you truly caring for your body or just chasing fear? Frank took almost 3 years to realize that, but you don't have to wait that long. All you need is one thing: pause, ask, and begin again with understanding. If this story made you think, leave a comment below. Starting today, I will listen to my body. And don't forget to follow the Life After 60, a place where every story is a mirror, a soft reminder that growing older isn't the end. It's the moment we finally have the right to choose how we live, and to walk forward on legs we've learned to trust again.